Welcome to Next Gen Expressions. Hey guys, this is Next Gen Expression. Welcome to the second part of the series Supremacy of Spiritual Intelligence. Last part of the series, I did talk about the importance of spiritual intelligence using the analogy of two kings or two nations going to battle. One is going to win, one is going to lose. The determining factor between who is going to win and who is going to lose is dependent on the strength of the intelligence they went into battle with. And that's why I said the more superior your intelligence is, the more you advance in life. It's very important that we understand that of all the intelligence we've got out there today, spiritual intelligence is the most superior intelligence, and that's because the word as we know it today was formulated on the back of spiritual intelligence. Have you seen different organizations and different empires that were around for centuries, but at some point they crumble? But the world as we know it today has been automated to run and to be sustained by spiritual intelligence. In Proverbs chapter 8, wisdom gave us insights, letting us understand that spiritual intelligence, the same way AI is automating tasks for us in our world today, spiritual intelligence automated tasks for God. The Bible says in Proverbs 8, it says, high wisdom, dwell with the prudence to find out knowledge of witty invention. And in further verses down the line, it says, the Lord possessed me in the beginning, before his works of old, before the mountains were brought forth, before the spring, before the depths were brought forth, I was there with God. You know, before God even did anything, he created his own SI, spiritual intelligence. And because of that, a whole lot of things in our world today is being automated. And in the same vein, if you can latch onto spiritual intelligence, you can actually automate your life for success. And the last time we did talk about how important it is for you to know three key things. Number one, you need to know who you are. Two, you need to know what life is all about. Life is all about going to school, getting good grades, getting married, getting a good job, having kids, retired, and die. Life is much more than that. Life is about dominion. Life is about creating impact to make your world a better place. And third things you need to understand is what is your role here and why is your role important? And we did make it very clear. You have to revisit the you that God knew before you were brought forth into this world. Because therein, locked inside of the you that existed before you came into this world, lies all the intelligence you need to understand how to guide and automate your life for success. I also share briefly the key attributes of spiritual intelligence. Spiritual intelligence is going to deliver into your hands stability. You become a stable institution. Spiritual intelligence preserves you. It gives you glory, it gives you honor, it promotes you, it gives you favor, goodwill. 7 key things the spiritual intelligence delivers into your hand. Now today, I want to zero in on how do you access spiritual intelligence? You see, one of the key things I like about God is that inside of nature, God has locked, He has put a trace of spiritual intelligence in everything you see today. And one of the key ways to actually begin to uncover and unravel the streams of wisdom is you have to determine, do I want to be wise or do I want to be a fool? It's okay to be a fool. At least we know You don't want, I mean, you know what you want, right? But I said that because people need to understand what they want out of life. Do I want to wage battle on the forces of spiritual intelligence, or do I just want to skim through life and just, you know, have the barest minimum life has to offer? If that is what you've decided, then you don't have to waste your time. Because one thing about wisdom, one thing about spiritual intelligence is you have to go for it. You've got to make up your mind. What exactly do I want out of my life? I've discovered who I am. I've discovered what life is all about. I understand why my role is important. Or do I want to progress with what I've known? Or do I just want to play two and just take life as it comes? So one of the key ways, the number one way you convince yourself that you are ready for this dominating force called spiritual intelligence is you've made up your mind. There is a decision on the inside of you that has to be made. I mean, you know when you made that decision that, man, I'm going all the way into this battle and I'm going in to win. And because I'm on the side of the most superior intelligence there is and there will ever be, then I am going to emerge victorious in life. I'm going to emerge impactful. My life is going to be beautiful, victorious, powerful. So make up your mind. You want to be wise or do you want to be a fool? Again, it's okay to be a fool if that is what you've chosen. It's okay to be a fool, but there are consequences of being a fool. Do you want those consequences? That is a choice you have to make. Back to the cross of the matter. Um, the number two ways to actually access spiritual intelligence is now that you've made up your mind that this is the path you want to go. Make no mistakes about it. Your thinking faculty is the most important organ in your body. That means you have to consciously begin to engage the forces of your reasoning to analyze two key things. Number one, what are the consequences of my thinking, and what is the consequence of my action? So, if you find yourself thinking in a particular direction, you begin to ask yourself, what is the end result of this thought process? And if you take it a step further, you want to begin to act, you want to begin to take some key actions, you begin to ask yourself, what is the consequence of this action? If I'm going to do this right now, what's going to be the end result? I mean, if you don't prepare for exams, you're going to fail. The consequence is clear. If you want to have unprotected intercourse, the consequences are you're probably going to have a baby you didn't plan for, or you're going to probably have STDs. So those are cause and effect, clear consequences. But those are clear. But there are some consequences of some actions that are obvious. And it takes a deep and a meditative thinker to unravel the different layers and to unpeel those different layers and arrive at a conclusive um, conclusion. A conclusive conclusion permits me to use the word. It's tautology, but just permits me to use the word. A conclusive conclusion, such that you are clear about the end of what you want to do even before you get started. That is the way wisdom works. And that is the key thing you have to open your heart to accept and begin to do. So think about the consequences of your thoughts and the consequences of your action. The third thing is you need to hunger and thirst for wisdom. I'm going to run us through a couple of scriptures in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 5. The Bible says, get wisdom, get understanding, Forget it not. Do not decline from the words of wisdom. Forsake wisdom not, for wisdom will preserve you. Wisdom will keep you. Wisdom will exalt you, it will promote you, it will bring you to honor. When you embrace her, it gives you an ornament of grace, a crown of glory, wisdom delivered to you. Now, the Bible also says in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7, it says, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. With all that you get understanding. Again, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore you get wisdom. With all that get understanding. That statement made it very clear. Wisdom doesn't come cheaply. Wisdom doesn't come cheaply. Wisdom comes to those who have made up their mind to toe the path of the wise. And that is why I said you have to make up your mind. Do I want to be wise or do I want to be a fool? Secondly, what are the consequences of my thought and of my action? When you begin to organize your life this way, wisdom begins to take notes, and this guy is ready for me. Then wisdom visits you, which is the next step, the visitation of wisdom. Have you ever thought about this? Many of the things you went to school to learn, many of the theories, maybe you're a science student or you did a bit of elementary science, most of the theories, law of gravity, law of aerodynamics, um, diffusion theory, osmosis, calculus, most of those theories, are you aware, were propounded by men who didn't go to any school? Yeah, some of the things you go to school to learn, the men who gave you those theories have been in place for centuries and they're still relevant till date, didn't go to school to learn the things you are learning in school. How did it come about, that sort of wisdom or that sort of knowledge? They were visited. I remember, in secondary school, and we were being taught, um, law of gravity was being taught. And the way the teacher explained it back then was that the guy who propounded this law, he was sitting down under a tree, a fruit fell, and he began to think, why did this thing fall down? Why didn't it go up? And he began to do his research and he came to a conclusion that there is a gravitational pull, on this crust of our world called Earth. And think about it. The fruit fell. It's not just about the fruit falling, it is what came to him when the fruit fell. When the fruit fell, wisdom was in the neighborhood. He opened up his heart to wisdom. Now, how many times has wisdom visited you? How many times thoughts has come to you that you discarded? Then maybe few months or few years down the line, the same idea that came to you has become $1 million idea that someone else is executing. Guess what? You miss the visitation of wisdom. And this is the point. You cannot afford, having done everything, you've made up your mind to toe the path of the wise. You've made up your mind to carefully analyze the consequences of your action. When wisdom comes to you, you have to receive the visitation of wisdom. Because there is the thing about wisdom. Sometimes what wisdom or spiritual intelligence comes like a foolish thought. Remember the Wright brothers, the guys who developed the first airplane. When they begin to discuss these disruptive ideas with people, people mock them, make fun of them. I mean, it was unimaginable that men are going to fly in the sky like birds. It makes no sense. At that point, it was foolish. But many years down the line, our world evolved around air transportation. Imagine trekking from New York to Singapore. How many decades or how many years of your life are you going to spend on that journey? But somebody received the visitation of the idea. In the same way, the value drop of wisdom comes to you. It comes to everybody who has made up their mind to toe the path of the wise. The problem is, are you receiving the visitation of wisdom? Or are you discarding the visitation of wisdom as a foolish thought? I believe you got the gist. So the next point I want to talk about when it comes to engaging spiritual intelligence is when you receive the visitation of wisdom, you've meditated on it, you've accepted it, you've meditated on it, begin to give action to the instructions of wisdom. Even though it looks foolish, don't worry. Even though you don't understand the full package, begin to act. Because as you begin to act, the value drop is going to increase. Remember when you began to meditate on it, the value drop was increasing. The value drop was increasing. When you begin to act, it becomes clearer. You know what to do. You know the kind of jobs to apply for. You know the kind of business to start. You know the kind of people to relate to, the kind of relationship to invest in. You just begin to know as you get the ball in motion. And this is it. Fortune rewards the bold who is willing to act on the visitation of wisdom. Yeah, I hope I'm gonna leave it at that. To the next point. Again, another key way is to access spiritual intelligence. When wisdom visits you and you discard it, fret not. That is in the past. Forget about the past. Dwell on the possibilities of the present and the future. One of the foolish things people do is they put their mind and their gaze on the errors and the mistake of their past. The way of wisdom is the way of foresight, it's the way forward, the way into the future. So you always have to erase the mistakes of the past. Even if you've neglected the visitation of wisdom in the past, that is not the end of your life. Guess what? Wisdom is coming back. And why will it come back to you? Because wisdom is intelligence. Wisdom knows you've learned your lesson. And wisdom knows next time you will do better. I believe this is making a lot of sense to you because it made a lot of sense to me many years ago. It's still making a lot of sense to me now. This is what has transformed my life, made my life beautiful, made my life powerful. These are the things I'm sharing with you. Very quickly to the next point. When wisdom visits you and you receive the visitation of wisdom, connect with it deeply within the confines of what I call the solitude of meditation. You have to learn the art of tuning down the noise of the mind and the noise on the outside and drawing in into the whispers of the Spirit of God. Not astral projection, because people mistake meditation for astral projection and they get into spiritism. When an idea comes to you, fixate your mind on that idea, filter it, check within your spirit, because within every man is an intelligence GPS that God has designed and embedded in your system. Before bad things happen to you, you know. Oh, you know, there are some decisions you made before you made a decision. You know you shouldn't make that decision, but you went ahead and made the decision, and your fingers were burned. That is the divine intelligence prompting you that this is not the right thing to fixate your resources, your effort, and your energy on. But you went ahead nonetheless. In the same vein, when a thought visits you, you can know, even though the thought might look foolish, you can know if it's the right thought. When you connect within you, you will know. You will get that prompting. People call it gut feeling. No, it's a divine intelligence helping you navigate the uncertainties of life, helping you navigate how to choose the best options amongst all the options available. So when those visitations come to you, open up your mind. Think about them deeply because as you think about it, the value drop begin to expand. It might come to you like a trickle drop, but when you engage the forces of your mind in meditation, especially if you're a Christian like me, you get scriptures and you begin to engage scriptures in line with those thoughts. Man, the Spirit of God, the one, the original author and initiator of that idea, begin to expand the ideas to you. And you begin to see the end even before the beginning of the execution of the idea. Guys, this is how men have ruled our world for decades, centuries, and are still ruling. Let me tell you something. Nobody has monopoly over wisdom because wisdom is an intelligent being. You visit anybody who has made up their mind to toe the path of the wise. If you will make up your mind today to toe the same path, whatever package, no matter how little, no matter how foolish this value drops comes and it looks to you, give your mind to it. Do not fret. Remember, the innovators of yesterdays, of yesteryears, their innovation feels like a foolish idea to the world. But now the world cannot do without those inventions. Maybe you're going to be the next Einstein. They ask Einstein, how do you come with this breakthrough theory that has revolutionized our world? He said, it visited me. Guys, you are next in line to be the biggest thing that's going to happen to our world. I believe these few things I've shared with you, if you could engage your mind, engage the Spirit of God on the inside of you, I tell you, your world will celebrate you, even when you're long gone, because you will have left an indelible impact on this world and making it a better place for us all. I'll see you at the top. Bye for now.